And what Jose did is exactly the right thing to do. Instead of indulging in whatever it is you're doing to try to keep that system from flowing the way it was flowing and to reorganize itself, hopefully at a higher level, I should say hopefully reorganize itself, not hopefully at a higher level, because it is going to reorganize at a higher level. The secret to dealing with this is this thing about the witness, the watcher. And what Jose did was he just stopped doing the pacing and just sat down and paid attention to how his body felt. He just watched it. And when that happens, something generally shifts. And if it's not ready to shift, it doesn't shift. But that's what gets you out of the way. All the time that Jose was pacing, he was probably experiencing a certain amount of suffering. As soon as he stopped resisting that flow and trying to frantically push the energy out and just sort of felt what was going on in his body, what was going on started to be neutral to him. And then the natural process that the whole universe is made up of happened, which is that when systems are overloaded like that, they break down and then reorganize. And then he probably felt very calm after this process happens. One time I had in very early days of the program, probably about 1992 or something, a woman called me and said, "I'm freaking out, I'm really freaking out, my body is doing this," and she was frantic. And I said, well, listen, I'm kind of busy right now, but I can talk to you in about a half an hour. Until I have time to talk to you, could you go and lie down on your bed and just pay attention to what this feels like in your body, so that when we talk, you'll be ready to tell me about it. And just lie down on your bed and just notice where the feeling is in your body, and notice if it moves around, notice if it changes, and then we'll talk in 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes later, no call. 40 minutes, no call. So I thought, well, I'm going to call her and see how she is. She says, I laid down, and in about 5 minutes after I started watching it, it just went away, and I'm fine, no problem. Which sort of brings me to another key point, another foot stomper, that that 95% of the discomfort you feel when you go into this chaos situation is not caused by the stuff, the chaos. It's caused by your resistance to it. That means that if you just stop and watch it without resisting it, it suddenly just goes to this kind of neutral state. It may still have intensity, but it's a neutral intensity. You know, intensity could be intensely pleasurable, it could be intensely unpleasurable, or it could be neither of those two. It could just be intensity. And that's what happened to Jose when he just stopped and focused on it. It had an intensity still, but it wasn't necessarily negative anymore. And it also gets you out of the way so that the reorganization happens. Now, the reorganization is going to happen whether you block it or not. You can shovel that energy out so fast a lot of times that you can stay stuck in this cycle where it builds up and you pitch it out, and it builds up and you pitch it out, and you're constantly in turmoil. And everyone knows people like that, and some of us have been like that. I certainly was. Because that was my mode, was to be angry all the time, and that would just blow off enough energy that I could stay stuck in the same place that I was in. And I did that for 35 plus years. And a lot of people do, and it's a miserable place to be in. But as soon as you stop resisting it, the suffering stops and the process happens. Now, if you're not, an expert at blowing it off, what I'm saying is, and with Holosync certainly, there's too much for you to totally blow it off. It's going to push you to reorganize at a higher level. You could be flipping out constantly on Holosync and it would still cause you to evolve. However, you would...
Comforting, Joe.
Well, what I'm saying is you can't resist it in terms of it creating the evolution. So the choice becomes, am I going to evolve with a lot of resistance and a lot of suffering over it, or am I going to evolve the easy way, where whenever I notice I'm in chaos, I consciously say, okay, I'm about to do my anger thing or my depression thing or whatever it is, and instead step back and just watch it. And the way you watch it is that you get really curious about it. And I'm sure some of you have read or heard me say this. You pretend like you are a scientist and you're in the Amazon jungle and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting for years and years for this one certain rare butterfly to fly by so you could study it. And after all these years of waiting and being curious as to what it's going to be like, it finally flies by. And that is the kind of curiosity and attention that I'd like you to put on whatever it is that's happening.